Good evening and welcome to tonight's webinar, Fueling an Extra Mile, Optimal Nutritional Strategies for Endurance Athletes. My name is Jane Sedgley and I'm a road cyclist. I'm really excited to introduce two of my colleagues tonight, Sarah Shaw, who's a personal trainer and biochemist, and Emma Backshall, who is a personal trainer, yoga teacher, Pilates teacher, and nutrition coach. We all participate in different levels of endurance cycling and running, including marathons, trail running, canicross, and long charity cycle rides. I will now hand over to Sarah, who is going to cover the science.
Thanks, Jane. So you are all likely to have one or several things which are preventing you from performing at your best, whether that's on a social ride, a park run, or on a multi-day endurance event. Firstly, your training generally might just not have been up to it, and you might feel fatigued, heavy, and slow. You might hit the wall, or bonk, as it's known. And this is a result of low blood sugar, and it's usually because of incorrect fueling and the inability to switch to burning fat when sugar's depleted. You might get muscle fatigue, lactic acid buildup, making the legs feel heavy and slow, or you may become dehydrated, which could cause headaches and muscle cramps, and either that will slow you down or it might even make it impossible for you to continue. Or perhaps you've just generally got a poor diet and only focus on the exercise part of the process, and you think that carb loading on a big bowl of pasta the night before and putting a couple of gels containing lots of caffeine in your pocket, and that'll help you get through. So here's what I'm going to be covering in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Sue, can we have the next slide? Thank you. I'm going to be covering the delivery of nutrients to where you need them for optimum performance, which is in your muscles. There's no point putting anything into your mouth or into the system if it isn't going to get to where you need it. We'll talk about maintaining stable energy levels over long periods to avoid bonking or hitting that wall. We'll talk about hydration and the importance of not only water, but of electrolytes, ensuring that you take on enough water, that water gets to where it needs to be and where it's needed, so into the cells where it's needed. And then I'll talk about recovery, because the faster you can recover, the more consistently and the harder you can train, and that will improve your overall performance when you get to an event. It also means you'll recover faster after the event and can then start training more quickly for the next one. And then I'll talk about supporting the nervous system, because endurance training and long events are stressful to the system, and supporting bone health, heart health, immunity. And all of these things will reduce the time you have to take out for injury and illness. So the basis of what I'm going to talk about is going to sustain good overall health, as well as improving your performance, unlike a diet which is rich in processed carbs, sugar, peanut butter, and gels full of caffeine. So nitric oxide, this is a really important molecule for performance, but also for general health. And the importance of this molecule gained the scientist who discovered its role in cardiovascular health back in the late 1990s. It got them the Nobel Prize. The benefits to your general cardiovascular health are huge, but it's also going to help with your performance. So nitric oxide is a substance which is produced naturally by the endothelial cells in your blood vessels. These are the cells which line the blood vessel wall, and it allows those blood vessels to relax. It's a vasodilator. So it opens up the blood vessels, improving blood flow to all your tissues and organs in your body. It also improves the removal of waste products and the reduction of blood pressure. And so the pressure on the heart is therefore reduced. So it's good for overall health, but it also means that your heart won't have to beat as hard to get everything to your muscles, get all those nutrients to your muscles. So with respect to performance then, nitric oxide is going to improve delivery of oxygen and fuel to your muscles, improving energy production by the mitochondria, which are the little powerhouses in all of your muscle cells. And it's going to allow you to run, cycle faster and jump higher. So it's going to really improve that performance. It's going to remove lactate and other waste products from the muscles more efficiently, and that reduces muscle fatigue, and so you can keep on moving for longer. And then it delivers water and electrolytes more efficiently, reducing muscle cramps and improving hydration. So it's all about the delivery and opening up the blood vessels to allow delivery of the nutrients and the oxygen and the water and the electrolytes, all of which are really necessary for that energy production and for keeping going for longer, and then removing waste products away. So how can you increase the amount of nitric oxide in your body? Well, there are 3 ways that you can do that. So the first one is from dietary nitrates. Now, nitrates are found in lots of green leafy vegetables and beetroot. And these nitrates are broken down in your mouth. They're broken down by an enzyme that's in the saliva in your mouth, but this enzyme is not an enzyme that's produced by the human body. It's actually produced by good bacteria in your mouth. So in order to break down the dietary nitrates in those vegetables, so in green leafy vegetables and beetroots, you need to have a good healthy oral microbiome. The good bugs in your mouth are going to help to break down those nitrates into nitrites, and from nitrites we can then produce nitric oxide in the blood. So we need good oral hygiene, but we don't want to be using antibacterial mouthwash, because that will kill off those good gut bugs in your mouth and prevent the conversion of nitrates to nitrites from those vegetables, and therefore not help with your nitric oxide production. So just think about using mouthwash. It's not only bad for this process, but it is actually bad for the general overall health of your mouth. Once it's broken down, the nitrates travel down into the gut, across the gut wall, and get converted into nitric oxide in the blood vessels. So that's the first way, is eating lots of green leafy vegetables and beetroot and keeping your oral health good. The second way to increase nitric oxide production in the body actually happens inside the cell walls. Now, it's a natural process for nitric oxide to be produced by these endothelial cells in the walls of the blood vessels. And it requires an amino acid, and amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So one specific amino acid is required for the production of nitric oxide by the body in the bloodstream. And this is something called L-arginine. It's an amino acid that's available in animal protein. It's in nuts, it's in seeds, and it's in whole grains. So eating plenty of these things is essential for getting L-arginine and therefore increasing your nitric oxide production. The process also requires an enzyme that's produced by these cells in the walls of the blood vessels. If we're very active and as we age, we need more raw materials and more of the enzyme to produce more of the nitric oxide. So making sure that we've got these raw materials is really important. So eating more protein is vital for this good nitric oxide production. There is another amino acid that is available in certain fruits and vegetables, particularly in watermelon and squash and cucumber. And this is L-citrulline, which is the amino acid that sort of comes before L-arginine. It can be converted into L-arginine. So also using squash, cucumber and watermelon in your diet can help with nitric oxide production. And then the third way we can increase nitric oxide in the bloodstream is with nasal breathing. Nitric oxide is produced in the nasal sinuses, and breathing in through your nose will bring that nitric oxide into the lungs, where it's transferred across the membrane into the bloodstream. If you breathe through your mouth when you're exercising, you're actually losing out on quite a lot of nitric oxide that can help with your performance. So if there's one thing you take away from this evening, if you can start trying to breathe through your nose a little bit more, then that is going to help, not just generally on a daily basis, but actually while you're exercising and through these endurance events. So just going back to a couple of things about nitric oxide, then we need to be eating all of these foods prior to a training session, prior to an event. We need to be nasal breathing through that training session or through that event. And for longer events, you may actually need to take on more of these foods, more of the L-arginine, and L-citrulline and beetroot and greens. Now that might all sound quite complicated, but we'll come to this when Emma starts talking about the foods that we can use. But nitric oxide actually breaks down quite quickly in the body, so we need to keep replacing it. It isn't something that you can take in the morning and it's going to be there for the next 3 days. It's something that we need to be eating regularly or taking on those precursors to nitric oxide. So, okay, let's move on to the next slide now, please, Sue. So let's have a look now at maintaining good energy levels in the body and avoiding hitting the wall or bonking. So sugar is the easiest fuel for our bodies to use. If you base your diet on simple sugar and carbs, though, we become sort of dependent on sugar, and the body unlearns being able to use other fuels for energy. If this is the case, we then sort of need to be grabbing sugar all the time, and our body just sort of, whenever we're hungry, says, give me sugar, because I can't burn anything else. I don't know how to access my fuel stores. I don't know how to access stored fat for energy. Because you're giving it that sugar all the time, it kind of wants you to keep giving it, keep giving it, keep giving it. So during exercise, our muscles use any available sugar in the blood first, the blood glucose, and then they'll access glycogen, which is stored in the muscles and in the liver. If we can't burn fat for fuel and we don't replenish our glucose by eating some carbs or sugar, or if we don't have good fat stores, which is another possibility here, then we can hit the wall. Yeah, so if your body doesn't know how to access fat for fuel and you don't give it sugar on a regular basis, it will run out of sugar that's available to it, and then you will hit that wall. So ensuring your meals on a daily basis, not just around the time of your event, but ensuring that generally you are eating meals that are richer in protein and good fats and complex carbohydrates in the form of vegetables and whole grains teaches the body to use fat for fuel rather than just giving it sugar, that easy stuff. And it means that when we then come to that point in our longer endurance event where sugar might be depleting, our body can then access fat. It's learned how to access fat for fuel, and it can use those fats when glucose levels are low during an event. Okay, let's move on to hydration on the next slide, please. Thank you. So hydration isn't just about water. Electrolytes are really important for sports performance as well as general health. So let's have a look at a few of those electrolytes that are essential during endurance events and during any sort of exercise, and also for that general health. So calcium, as most of us probably know, is really important for healthy bones, but it also keeps our body at the correct pH. Alongside things like bicarbonate and chloride, which are in our foods as well that we take in. It's also required for muscle contraction, so vital for running or cycling and jumping and any other sort of exercise. Sodium helps maintain the correct hydration of cells and allows those cells to absorb other nutrients. So sodium is all about things going across cell membranes. So all those all the fuel and the oxygen and things that are required for our muscles to use won't get into the cells if you haven't got enough sodium. Potassium acts with sodium in that same way in maintaining hydration of the cells, but it's also vital for good heart function, which is obviously good for exercise. And then magnesium is used in over 300 processes in the body, including energy production by the mitochondria and muscle relaxation. So vital magnesium is vital for anything to do with exercise and energy. Deficiency of magnesium can cause cramps, headaches, migraines. Some people will get migraines after high intensity exercise. Quite often that's related to magnesium levels, but it is also required for good sleep. And without enough magnesium, you can feel quite fatigued and tired. So maintaining that balance of electrolytes is vital for good nutrient delivery, pH regulation, cardiovascular function, and muscle contraction and relaxation. So I think you can probably see why it's not just about drinking water, it's about making sure that you get the correct salts in there as well, in order to make your muscles function as well as they should do and your heart function as well as it should do. and make sure you get the water into those cells. So let's now talk about free radicals. Free radicals are really reactive compounds. They are produced just during normal metabolism. And they have an extra electron. That's all a bit scientific, but there's an extra electron on these free radicals, which means that they want to steal electrons from other bits of the body. And so they can damage proteins and fats and DNA in the body because of that imbalance of electrons. Doing moderate exercise and small amounts of exercise can reduce free radicals, but when you are exercising a lot, if you're training for long distances, if you are undergoing long endurance challenges, when your metabolic rate is increased and the body is under stress, then more of these free radicals are produced, which means you're going to get more damage, more inflammation, muscle soreness, joint soreness, and actually visually more wrinkles on your skin. So if you are someone who is really doing a lot of exercise and you're not thinking about the damage that is caused by this high intensity exercise, you may notice that although bodily you feel very fit, visually you perhaps look a little bit older than perhaps you would like to. Antioxidants are found in dark berries and purple and dark coloured vegetables. So things like pomegranate and blueberries. Vitamin C, omega-3, which is a good fat, and turmeric are also really good antioxidants and very good for reducing inflammation. They deactivate these free radicals, so they stop the free radicals from damaging the body. The more exercise you do, the more free radicals you produce, the more antioxidants you need. So making sure that your diet is rich in these veggies is really important. Loading on antioxidants before training can reduce free radical damage. So you're basically recovering while you're exercising, because if you're taking on a lot of antioxidants beforehand, there's plenty there to neutralize the free radicals as they are produced. So you get less inflammation, quicker recovery. And then, as I said before, the quicker your recovery, the more consistently and harder you can train. And potentially you won't get as many wrinkles either. Okay, next slide, please, Sue. So linked to damage in the body is stress. And I've said a number of times already that long endurance events and heavy training sessions cause stress in the body. So this is additional to the stress that we're all living under in the 21st century. And stress is damaging. It causes free radicals, as I said a moment ago, but it also causes sleep issues, cardiovascular problems such as high blood pressure, and it can leach magnesium from the body. So you can see how stress can be impactful on all sorts of different areas of performance that we've just talked about. The stress response should be an occasional response to a life-threatening event. The saber-toothed tiger arriving at the mouth of the cave, you've got to fight it or run away from it. But chronic stress causes disease. So finding ways to reduce this stress response is vital if you want to live a healthy, long life. So things like meditation, mindfulness, breath work, the nose breathing that I've spoken about can also be done in ways that reduce the stress response by using that diaphragm when you're breathing in deeply through the nose. And then yoga, getting out in nature, all these sorts of things can be great ways of reducing stress. And alongside your heavy training, it's a good idea to put some of these into your lifestyle as well. But the other thing that you can do is add adaptogens into your diet. These are substances which soothe the nervous system. They can calm down that stress response and reduce the damage caused by the stress. Things like ashwagandha, ginseng, rhodiola, schisandra are all adaptogenic herbs which can help reduce the impact of stress on the body. And then finally, let's have a look at vitamin D. I think potentially some of you are aware, since we had COVID and since we've still got COVID, that of the use of vitamin D to regulate the immune system. It actually regulates the inflammatory response to an immune response, sorry, the inflammation due to an immune response. So we also potentially know that we need more in the winter than we do in the summer, because the sun's too low in the sky for us to actually produce vitamin D in our skin. And in fact, it's recommended that everyone in the UK and Northern Europe should supplement with vitamin D3 from September to April because of this. it's also going to improve your mood. So for lots of reasons, vitamin C is necessary for health. But you may not know that many endurance athletes are actually more deficient in vitamin D than people who aren't involved in extreme exercise. And a 2008 study from the Cooper Clinic in Dallas found that 75% of runners running 20 miles a week, which isn't a lot if you're training for endurance, were vitamin D deficient. So you may be one of these people who is vitamin D deficient, and you may be doing more than 20 miles a week, so you may be more vitamin D deficient than these people were. Vitamin D is essential for your immune response, as we've spoken about. It's essential for bone health. It reduces your risk of fracture because it helps to maintain strong bones. It is vital for fast twitch muscle response. That's the one that allows you to move faster across the ground. So if you're looking for PBs, you need your vitamin D. And it's important for balance and reaction time. So that's going to reduce your risk of injury. The recommended daily intake of vitamin D is as much as 1,500 to 2,000 international units a day for active adults. That is quite a lot. So think about that when you're doing your training. Are you vitamin D deficient, and do you need some more? So just to wrap up the science part of the webinar, and I'm already running over my little time allocation, so we'll swing through these quite quickly. If you're an endurance athlete looking for improved performance and maintaining good health as you get older, you should be boosting nitric oxide with dietary nitrates, L-arginine and nasal breathing before and during longer events. You should be ensuring that you can switch easily between burning sugar and fat for energy to avoid that bonk by regularly using good fats, protein and vegetables for fuel rather than relying on pasta, bread and potatoes. You should be hydrating and ensuring particularly good levels of magnesium, but also good other electrolytes to avoid fatigue and muscle cramps. You should try and eat an array of dark fruits, dark green and purple veggies, which will provide antioxidants for good recovery, but also maintain good nitric oxide levels during your exercise. And then adding in adaptogenic herbs to reduce the impact of stress and taking enough vitamin D for all those reasons I've just spoken about. All these things you should be doing on a daily basis. So I'm going to pass over to Emma, who's going to talk through the types of food and maybe some supplements which you could help you to improve your performance and maintain good health. Emma.
Lovely, thank you, Sarah. It's always fascinating to hear about the science, and I'm sure everybody has learned heaps there. And when we understand the science better, it certainly helps us perhaps to make better and wiser decisions about how we're going to fuel ourselves. So thank you. So I have a question for you. Are you fit and healthy, or are you just fit? So no matter how much training you do, if your diet is lacking in nutrition and lacking in hydration, you'll always struggle to improve your performance and your recovery. You'll be more prone to injury, and your recovery from injury will take longer than somebody who is fully nourished and fully hydrated. So 90% of what you do is actually down to your nutrition and the food that you consume on a daily basis. So nourishing yourself up to and during an event is vitally important. So consider what you eat today will be your fuel for tomorrow, and it will influence how you perform and recover. Thank you. Next slide, please, Sue. So let's just take a look now at how we can fuel ourselves before, during and after your race or your event. So the night before, we can sort of bust the myth a little bit about carb loading here, so bear with us. So we want to be focusing on the quality of your green carbs. So we want to be taking on board lots of green, leafy and brightly coloured vegetables such as spinach and kale, broccoli, cabbage, sweet potato, butternut squash. So we want to be thinking about a rainbow with lots of those green foods, and these brightly coloured veggies provide great sources of antioxidants. As Sarah was saying previously, antioxidants are required in high levels to help repair the free radical damage that's caused by the exercise, and actually just living our daily life, even breathing has an impact. So when we're exercising, we want to be thinking about taking on board even more of these veggies. And the dark green leafy vegetables like the spinach, the kale, the broccoli, the cabbage, etc., are high in those dietary nitrates that Sarah was talking about earlier, which help support levels of nitric oxide in your blood. And that nitric oxide is going to allow more oxygen, more blood flow into your muscles so that you can perform stronger and for longer. And if you carb load with traditional starchy beige carbs in the form of pasta, rice, potatoes, bread the night before, at the exclusion of your green leafy vegetables, you're going to be missing out on that nitric oxide opportunity. And all the fabulous fibers you'll be missing out on that we're going to support your gut health. And how many athletes do you know that struggle with gut health as a result of maybe having too many sugary foods in their diet? And also these lovely green foods and fiber are going to help stabilize your blood sugars more efficiently. So in addition, if we are just carb loading, your intestines will slow down actually and become sluggish, often manifesting in diarrhea. And you may experience heavy legs and just that inability to sort of get yourself going at the beginning of your exercise or your run or your training. So I'm not suggesting avoid those starchy carbs completely, but it shouldn't be the main focus of your meal. So we also want to be adding in some good quality proteins in the form of meat, poultry, seafood. These are all great sources of coenzyme Q10, which is another really important antioxidant to help prevent and heal from that free radical damage. And these foods also help to preserve nitric oxide in the body, and again, improving your athletic performance, as Sarah was suggesting earlier. So if you're vegetarian or vegan, your protein will be coming from beans and pulses as well. We also want to ensure some foods with good quality omega-3 fats in the form of oily fish, nuts, seeds, avocado, which along with the proteins are actually your body's preferred energy sources. And as Sarah was saying before, if you struggle with having, not struggle, but if you're onboarding lots of sugar, again, your body's not actually going to be able to access the proteins and healthy fats as those energy sources. So we also want to be including nuts and seeds, which are high in arginine, again, the amino acid needed for the production of nitric oxide that Sarah was talking about. So other foods that you might want to add into your nutrition the night before, things like watermelon is one of the best sources of citrulline, again, which Sarah mentioned earlier, that amino acid that gets converted to arginine and then can be used by the body in the production of nitric oxide, and again, improving your sports performance and recovery. Pomegranate juice, I know Sarah mentioned that before, again, pomegranate juice or pomegranate extract, that's loaded with these potent antioxidants that protect your cells against damage from exercise, and again, are preserving the nitric oxide. So also worth adding those into your nutritional mix. Pomegranate seeds can be sprinkled on your salad or your greens, that actually just to give them a little bit of additional texture as well. So they're really easy to include. So what are we going to do on the day? So again, thinking about the question around carb loading. If you carb load before your race, your insulin levels will be too high. And when we have the presence of insulin before you start your race, it will prevent your body from producing human growth hormone and testosterone in the first 30 minutes. And that will start to impair your initial performance as you get into your event or your training. So again, on the morning, we want to be consuming good quality proteins, those lovely green leafy foods, spinach, broccoli, kale that we've mentioned before, and really deep coloured fruits such as the berries, the pomegranates, along with your healthy fats in the form of nuts and seeds, avocado. And if we do that, your insulin levels will remain low and your body will be able to efficiently produce the human growth hormone and testosterone that we want, particularly at the beginning of our event. And what will that leave you with? That will leave you with warming up more quickly, your energy systems will kick in much faster, and you'll be far more efficient at fat burning. So if you do run out of glycogen stores further into your activity, you can then draw on any fat stores for energy production, and you become a far more efficient energy machine. And isn't that what we all want for our sports performance and recovery, to be that efficient energy machine? So to recap, up to an hour before you race, you're going. The advice is to eat good quality proteins, omega-3 fats, your green leafy foods, and brightly coloured foods. So that might look like a couple of eggs. So they could be boiled eggs with some spinach and avocado, or poached eggs with spinach and avocado. Ticking those boxes. You might, if eggs don't do it for you, it might be that you want to have something like overnight oats with nuts and seeds and berries, and throw in those pomegranates or watermelon. Maybe some authentic Greek yogurt, which has a high protein content. You could stir through some almond butter. And oats contain, so I'm going to have to put my teeth in for this, so I apologize if I don't pronounce this correctly, but great antioxidants called avenanthramides. And these are only found in oats, and they help to increase nitric oxide in your body. They also contain beta-glucans, which promote healthy testosterone levels, and they also have anti-inflammatory properties and a great source of fibre for your gut health. So again, oats too are a great pre-race food to be taking on board, but just making sure you're adding all of those additional nutrients in so we can maximise the anti-inflammatories and nitric oxide. So during your race, what are we going to do during your race? So for every hour of racing, after the first 90 minutes, you'll need 1 gram of carbs per 1 kilogram of body weight. So if you weigh 70 kilograms, you'll need 70 grams of carbs for that hour of fueling. And so during a race, your insulin levels will stay naturally low as the sugar from the carbs is going to go to your muscles for energy. And therefore, at this stage, you won't be inhibiting human growth hormone and testosterone by having the carbohydrates further into your race. So that might look like, you know, some dates or a bit of banana. You might have a protein ball recipe, and if you don't, let us know and we'll send you one, which has lots of these, you know, banana and dates and almonds and almond butter. So all of those things that are really quick to fuel on mid-race. And as I said, if you don't have a good protein ball recipe, we can send you that. So after your race, it's really important to replenish your electrolytes and your proteins. And I know Sarah was talking about the electrolytes and making sure that they're fully replenished. And we want to do that within 20 minutes by taking at least 500 milligrams of magnesium and a little pink Himalayan salt in your water to effectively balance your electrolytes and help prevent that post-race muscle cramping, which can be very uncomfortable if you've experienced it. And then within 20 to 40 minutes, we want to be taking around 25 to 30 grams of protein, again, to immediately we can start repairing some of the damage that we've caused to our muscles through that exercise. And it's not just your muscles, obviously, it's all your soft tissues, so your ligaments and your tendons, because we want those to be repairing effectively, and also we want to be retaining our lean muscle mass by ensuring that we are taking on board the protein at the correct time. So next slide please, Sue. Thank you. So the challenge we face today is that our food, for many different reasons, is lacking in the vital vitamins and minerals we need to function effectively on a daily basis, let alone to be repairing and fueling ourselves through our events and our training. So even though I eat a healthy diet, I know that to optimize my performance and recovery, I need to be bridging this deficiency gap with good quality supplements that contain ingredients that my body will recognize. Because again, if we're taking on board things that our body has no clue what to do with, it will be like me picking up a piece of paper in Japanese. I don't speak Japanese, so I have no clue what it says. And that's what happens in the body when we take supplements that have got nutrition in that the body doesn't really know what it is or what it can do with. So let's now take a look at some of the ways we can increase our nutrition through good quality supplementation. And these are all supplements that I take myself, and Sarah and Jane take as well, and that we recommend to our clients. So the next slide, please, Sue. Thank you. So the first one I'd love to talk to you about is fits in with what Sarah has been saying around the science of nitric oxide and Pro360 Performance Beets. So beetroot, they're not just any old beetroot, they are Himalayan beetroots from the high plains. They're harvested from the high plains of the Himalayas, and they are known to contain the highest level of dietary nitrates. And we know from what Sarah was saying that the dietary nitrates then get converted into nitric oxide in the body. So to get the same amount of nitric oxide from one serving of our superfood performance beets, you would need to eat 20 pounds of organic shop bought beets. That is a lot of beetroots, and it would definitely start to turn your urine and your bowel movements very, very red if you were to eat that amount of beetroot. So alongside the powerful Himalayan beets, we have the antioxidant-rich, anti-inflammatory foods in the form of green tea leaf extract, turmeric root, so that amazing anti-inflammatory. We have blueberry fruit, broccoli, tart cherry, we have kale leaf, apple, and they all synthesize together to help activate your nitric oxide in your body, reduce the inflammation, and powerfully boost sports performance and recovery. And we know from research that many people are lacking in good nutrition, and especially the vitamins and minerals. And to unlock the power of beetroot, you need to have these other ingredients coming in, these other rich antioxidants foods, because otherwise it's like baking a cake and forgetting the raising agent. You get part the result, but we don't get the full benefit. And obviously, for all of us wanting to increase sports performance and recovery, we want to make sure that what we're putting into our body is going to actually really work its full magic for us. So the performance beets, as we said, it's enhancing blood flow through the nitric oxide pathway. It's elevating your energy production, so it's going to allow us to perform for longer with our peak performance. And our stamina. It's also going to help maintain healthy blood pressure, because again, we know that a lot of exercise and endurance events can be very stressful for the cardiovascular system. So again, it's a really important one to help support cardiovascular health. And one of the things I notice is that it also is amazing for focus and mental alertness. And sort of just lifting your mood as well, and helping to reduce the fatigue that we might feel after we've been exercising, especially if we've not been nourishing ourselves optimally. So how Pro360 Performance Beets would fit into your plan is that you would take 1 scoop in 300 to 400 mils of water about 30 minutes before you train or race, and then the nitric oxide kicks in about 60 minutes after you've taken it, kind of really maintaining your performance. And if you're doing a long endurance event, you can take some but made up maybe in a little bottle with you on a belt, and then you can top up during your event. So again, making sure that we're keeping up our nitric oxide levels. So next slide, please, Sue. Thank you. And so again, thinking, back to how many people are actually deficient in vitamins and minerals and their portions of vegetables. So at one time we were told it was 5 a day, and then it was 10, and I believe now it's about 17 that we need in a day. Well, I don't know about you, but I think most people would struggle to get 17 into our diet. And also it's about increasing the variety of green foods in our diet. And again, another way we can look is to be adding in 30 different plant-based foods into our diet in a week. So with our Pro 360 Performance Greens, we have here 13 different fruits and vegetables. So again, a lovely cross range of fibers that we're getting here for our digestive health and our immune health as well. It also really helps to fill the gap, as I said, between what we are lacking in our diet. And the greens is clinically evaluated. It has clinically evaluated levels of nutrients, which basically means that you will feel the difference. You will feel the difference straight away from taking the greens, to how you're feeling energy-wise, how you're feeling emotionally, and how you're feeling physically. And the unique blend that we have with the greens, we have an energy blend, it has a digestive health blend. And again, many people, when we do a lot of training, we do suffer with gut issues. And when we're quite stressed, it means that we can be lacking in some of our digestive enzymes. And so the greens will have the digestive enzymes in there, again, to help you break down the food so that your body can utilize it efficiently. It's going to help increase your psychological function. And as I said, we have that wonderful array of fruits and vegetables that are going to help repair from the free radical damage that we get from our exercise. We also have the antioxidants that prevent the free radical damage from causing poor immune health, stress, central nervous system. It helps support beneficial for our joint health when they become inflamed, for stiff muscles and for cramping. And it helps to repair our tissues post-injury. So again, if you're suffering regularly with injuries, it's another way that your body is trying to tell you that you're deficient in some of these vital vitamins and minerals that you would be getting from the greens. We also have a unique blend of adaptogenic and nootropic herbs, which Sarah was mentioning earlier. Really important again that we calm that stress down in our body that we create when we're training and on our endurance events. And the adaptogenic herbs here, again, clinically evaluated to make a difference, lift your mood, calm your central nervous system, and just give you that really wonderful sense of well-being. And one of the other things that we can often find after an endurance event is that we get a cold, or we just feel really low. And again, because we're not getting enough of these green foods into our diet that are going to help with that free radical damage and just keep the immune system buoyant. So in terms of how do you take your performance greens and how does that fit in? So you can either take it as a daily insurance policy, 1 scoop in 400 to 500 mils of water, give it daily. Or you could have it after your training or your event, again, just with this flood of antioxidants to help with any repair that needs to take place from the free radical damage. So next slide, please, Sue. Thank you. Again, Sarah mentioned about the importance of electrolytes and putting back the nourishment into our body. And so we would recommend the magnesium body prime here, which supports your muscle function. as we said, it's going to help support the electrolyte balance as well. And over 300 different bodily functions require magnesium. So it really is an important part of your daily supplementation, regardless of whether you're exercising, to maintain those healthy magnesium levels and also to help maintain your blood sugar metabolism. In terms of electrolyte balance on a race day, we would take 2 Body Prime after your breakfast, your kind of pre-race breakfast, and at the end of your racing, again at the end of your event, you would take another 2 Body Prime along with a little bit of Himalayan pink salt, just diluted in water. The challenge is some of these electrolytes that you might buy don't actually have magnesium in them, and we actually need the magnesium in there to sort of help support and unlock the other minerals and the other electrolytes. So the other thing we would recommend post race is your protein. That's vitally important to help immediately starting to get that repair back for your muscles, ligaments and tendons. And so I would take Smart Meal. It's 24 grams of vegan protein per serving to replenish your protein stores and begin that muscle recovery, and also your immune system support as well post your training or your race. And interestingly, again, staying with this theme of arginine and nitric oxide, there is 3 times more arginine in pea protein than there is in whey protein. So therefore we'll continue to reap the rewards of nitric oxide even post-exercise, allowing more oxygen uptake into your muscles and more nutrients to aid the recovery and repair. And it contains 24 vitamins and minerals, fiber, digestive enzymes, all to promote a healthy gut microbiome and really stabilize your blood sugar levels. And then finally, coming on to vitamin D3. Again, I know Sarah has mentioned this before, but again, vital for your immune system and for your bone health. And as Sarah already said, many runners and cyclists are deficient in vitamin D3 as their requirement increases the more exercise they do and the more stress they put through their body. And often, if you're out running outside, you might put sun cream on in the summer, and then obviously we're not absorbing the vitamin D3 from the sunlight into our skin, so it's sort of blocking that absorption of D3. And you can go on to the vitamind3.org website and learn a bit more about that if you want to. But one of the vitamin D3 Council's sayings is that with enough D3, you'll run longer and faster, recover more quickly, and suffer fewer injuries. And also we have D3 in our Pro360 Performance Greens, and we also have it in our Superfood Beets, along with magnesium as well as those other vitamins and minerals. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope you've got some takeaways there that you can start to maybe think about how you're going to fuel yourself more efficiently so that you can be that better metabolic machine. So thank you, Jane.
Wow, thank you so much, Sarah and Emma. Before we finish, we have a few short testimonials, fantastic testimonials actually, to share with you. And this is from a bodybuilder and personal trainer. I have seen some research on use of beetroot juice and aid in training, and have tried and experienced the results using Pro360 Performance Beets. I'm very impressed. I could push harder, lift heavier, and recover faster. Very quickly, from a paddle coach, if I'd had a long day coaching and felt tired with heavy legs, I knew I had a 10K training run to do in preparation for a half marathon. Was really struggling to muster up the enthusiasm, energy, and I was given a sample of Pro360 Superfood Performance Beets, which I took 30 minutes before going out on my run. A few miles into my run, my legs lightened up and I ended up with a personal best. Very happy with that. And finally, from Rob Minton, who is MD of Tempo Running Events. I've been using Synergy Pro 360 Performance Beats for a number of weeks now, and it's greatly enhanced both my training and racing. From the very first use, I could feel my training runs were less effort. For the same speed reached, I had both more energy, but my heart rate was lower at the same intensity. Hills felt much easier to run up. There's also been a noticeable improvement in my recovery time between training sessions, with a much quicker recovery, allowing me to train harder the next time. I think this phenomenal supplement is for anyone wanting to improve their running performance, and really hot off the press, this is from a race this last weekend. Karim, who's a young Irish runner, took the beats around 40 to 45 minutes before his 10K run at the weekend. He now swears by it. He actually visited us just only 2 weeks ago and bought some of the beats at the National Running Show. And he said he felt so good, and he managed a personal best. He's absolutely delighted, and he was so glad that he stopped and saw us at the National Running Show. That's just amazing. Personal best, and the best young runner in a 10K race. So before we finish, we are planning a general question and answer session at a later date, and we'll let you know the time and date when we send you the recording from tonight. In the meantime, if you would like to order any of the products that Emma talked about, then please contact the person that introduced you to this webinar. Thank you from all of us attending tonight, and we hope that we will really see you soon. Bye for now.